So most of these intros, as I did specify they were built in Flash. They were then edited in Premiere Pro. That's where I added the music, the sound effects, balanced the audio. I must admit, I've been focused so very heavily on the visuals and not so much on the sound design. Because the sound design is fairly crucial, and I think... I don't know, I suppose it's because the visual design I'm not keen on a lot of the time, whereas the sound design I feel like I've got sort of spot on. If anything, the sound is what brings the visuals up a higher level than they truly are. So I have been focused a lot on the visuals rather than the sound, because, as I say, a lot of the visuals take shortcuts and copyrighted images probably. I mean, granted, it's from the game, but nonetheless, I should try and get better at sort of searching copyright-free Google images rather than just, Google that. Yep, I know. It's a bad habit to be in, unfortunately. But anyway, the key thing here is I stuck that frame, this sort of pre-frame, the grass scene, and this piece of animation, the back bit, into After Effects. Actually, no, tell a lie, I probably didn't put that in After Effects. That was unneeded, just the front bit. And what this is the shatter effect in After Effects. And that's it, really. You just move the shatter point from this corner to that corner, and boom, you've got a shattering. But it's simple stuff. I didn't even really change the thickness, I don't think, and probably didn't change many of the settings whatsoever. But you can set it to be glass chunks, so it looks like it's shattering glass. It's a nice effect. It's very simplistic, but I thought it was worth noting because the Overlord intro was that sort of point of, and there After Effects gets introduced as a tool in the arsenal of the intro making. Then there's just simple arm motion in Flash, pulling down the symbol, and I quite like this one. Raising Hell. Do you get it? Because the hook raised the hell. It was raising hell. Okay, this is the actual sort of whoosh. I included this because the whoosh still to this day makes me laugh. This is Mr. Malice Caliber. If you're watching my channel and you haven't watched his channel, I would recommend you popping over and watching his channel. Just Google or YouTube or Google search Malice Caliber, MalusCalibur, Malice Caliber. You will probably not be disappointed, I suspect, because if you like my stuff, chances are you will rather enjoy his stuff. But there was a scene in the game where he threw a turret across a place on a springboard, I think, and he just went, or I think it might have been himself and a turret or some such. I think it was him against turrets. He had to whoosh between turrets, but nonetheless, he just made this little whoosh noise, and I thought it made a perfect sound effect for this little sort of build anticipation video. So it's, again, not traditionally an opening sequence as such, but it built anticipation for the game itself that was being released. Now, again, keynote here, suddenly, it's a little bit framey, a little bit weird. It's because this is back to CorelDRAW and Camtasia style. And the reason for that was because we recorded the footage a long time prior to us releasing the LP. Because Malice had some severe and unfathomable... I'm going to stop it now because this is one of my favourites of all time. The concept, the execution, everything about it was incredibly good. But as I say, it's a bit jarring here because although this is chronological in terms of what was released on the channel, in terms of my abilities and style, again, I use that term loosely, it's suddenly a throwback to yestertimes. Key things to note. I liked my manipulation of the logo there. I know it possibly seems unfair that Mr. Caliber's below my name, but arguably this is A, on my channel, so, it's my channel, and B, it fits better because I believe the original... Do I show the original here somewhere? Yes. The original Aperture Laboratories, you'll note that Aperture is smaller volume of letters than Laboratory, and you will then note... Wait for it. Okay, I dropped it too far back. You'll then note that J Dragon is less letters than Malice Caliber. So it fit. Not only did it fit the Aperture logo, it fit with the fact that it's my channel. So naturally, I'm the bigger name because it's my channel. Mine, motherfucker. Not yours. It's mine. But yeah, there was a huge delay between us recording the footage and actually releasing it because Malice had severe technical issues with the footage he had. I mean, it was plagued with technical issues all the way through because I think I lost my voice audio on one episode, then he lost his voice audio on another episode. The audio was desyncing his side. Mine didn't seem to have that problem, but there was a lot of issues. And so I sort of made the intro, and then it was like we found all these issues, and so we had to pause and halt. And you'll note, again, not all the way to the edge there. I think, if memory serves, that is because of a weakness on CorelDRAW that it would get confused when it exported the images. So I had to bring everything in a little bit. So that's why nothing ever for the CorelDRAW stuff is right on the edge of the overall background, because it exported a big white line because it thought, oh, I need a little bit extra because of, this area, which was always irritating. But as I say, once I evolved the methods, it got better. And you'll note here, I think, does it change colour at all? No, it doesn't. It does a little bit. You see it strings through blue when it goes down and then strings out orange when it comes out here. You saw in the Perpetual Testing Initiative, I think that was what the series was called, I was able to do that so much better with Flash, getting it to change colour so much more naturally. So that's all. I think that's all we can really say. But let's move on to the next intro, because this is getting very long, and we've still got half an hour of intros left, which is not good news. This, as I say, so deliberately no animations, if you were wondering. Hi, you may have noticed this intro has no sound or animation. These are no longer standard with my intros and must be purchased separately as DLC. Are you willing to pay 2 coins for sound and 3 coins for animations? Yes. And note, 2 coins for sound, 3 coins for animations comes in. You have purchased the DLC packs, The Sound of Music, and Disney Got Nothing on this. They were very silly names, but I quite liked it. And then off I pop, but then, oh, wait, I come back. Oh! Metal Gear Solid. By the way, for the remainder of this intro, please purchase the I Will Drain You Dry DLC pack for 3,000 coins. Yes, no, never gonna happen. Boof, 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 boof. Note shatter technique once again in After Effects. And this, just zooming in on the angry face of DLC. But this was, it was such a tiny little game, but very well made, very entertaining little game I played. And I put together one of my best intros ever for what was a very, very tiny little game. I must admit, the gunshots I could probably improve nowadays. Although having said that, I mean, you can see that they're meant to be sort of shattering. Maybe I should have punched a hole out there if I'd known more about masking, I think is the key thing. Basically, this is one of those ones, again, where it's a fusion of Flash. CorelDRAW for the basic images, because that's not actually pixel art for those interested. This was before I started doing any kind of pixel art. This was based on the character in-game, and then I pieced it together by drawing lines around it in CorelDRAW. So that is not official pixel art, because you can tell, because I think you can you can see that none of the lines actually match, I don't think, because I didn't measure them particularly well. Like there, you'd expect potentially, I don't know, maybe that was 2 pixels meant to be in 1 pixel, I don't know. But nonetheless, it wasn't official pixel art. And this text, again, fusion of Flash and After Effects, because in After Effects, you can just set this sort of typewriter text up. So every time you have seen me do this sort of typewriter text, it's almost always After Effects, animation text, drag it on, boom, done, jobs are good. And just any time you have an exclamation mark, you're duty bound to put in the Metal Gear Solid exclamation sound. It's just natural. And then, because this is based on the fact that you've got a gun towards the end of DLC Quest, I believe. Sorry if that's a spoiler for anybody. But then, yeah, just slowly zoom in on the angry face of DLC. I'm angry. You've made me buy BLC. BLC? Doo-doo. This one is a particularly proud moment, I think. Just the overall concept. The execution, again, is not too bad. I mean, this is Flash mixed with that's official... fucking pointing at the screen again. That's official Tails and Sonic sprite art from the games. The rest of it mostly is me sort of copying over bits and pieces. I think I just liked Blastoise, really, and I think The actual chamber here is based on the original Monty Python. So I suppose we should discuss. We'll pause it momentarily. Blast Dragon, Blastoise and J-Dragon. Pikachu is just a Pikachu. Fun little fact that someone pointed out. Can't remember specifically who. Female Pikachu, non-female Tau. That's me paying attention for you. Naturally, level 56. And then I put another 56 there in the health bar, which I was quite pleased at. Okay, so yeah, I can't honestly remember, but I think this overall concept is based on Monty Python. Hence Gaming Circus, because it was Monty Python's Flying Circus and J-Dragon's Gaming Circus. The music is Monty Python and the intro is based on the idea of Monty Python. And so I think these little extra bits here was actually based on the intro to Monty Python. Now, why there was always a line through the centre, I never found out. I think it may have been a glitch or it may have been something unfortunate, but nonetheless, there was a line in the centre that I never really got rid of, and I never went back to fix it afterwards, unfortunately. So my head on Blastoise was quite fun. Are you scat singing now? No. What I was saying, Star Fox was what I was supposed to be saying. I believe that's the ship from Star Fox that I copied up. Again, it's quite nice. Ships, they're straight lines, which are fucking easy. It's very easy to make a straight line in a drawing program. Okay, we flash into Pokemon. It's a bit longer than the Monty Python intro, and it's probably a little bit. It's another one that's a bit too long. Now, okay, we're going to be discussing this because this is one of those classic ones where I'm not convinced people will appreciate how much effort went into this. So I'm gonna fucking make you appreciate it if I have to make you appreciate it while you are kicking and screaming. This, I can't remember which Mortal Kombat it is. Probably 9 or 10. More likely 9, I think. So this is official Mortal Kombat footage that I recorded, I believe. No, that's a lie. Someone else recorded it. I grabbed it off of YouTube for my nefarious purposes. Then, because it was footage of the game, obviously he's not just alone in the game, if you didn't know. He's in a whole area of doings in an arena. And I'm sure someone might suddenly turn around and go, there's an easy way of doing that, you know. Back then, I didn't know an easy way of doing it. So what I did was I took that footage, I put it into Premiere. I don't know how many, but every few frames, I exported the frame in order to get an image of that frame on its own. I then shoved it into Photoshop, where I took the lassoing tool and I went round and 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 down and down and point and point and point point and point and point. Oh fuck! I got over the flames. Point 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 point. Should I close it there? No, I think we should go along the line there. Point at point 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 point. Is it getting annoying yet? Point 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 point. Think how it felt doing every one of these fucking frames. Point 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 point. Oh fuck! I pointed there. I've got to start again. Point point. I'm not going to force you into finding it, but nonetheless, I did a lasso tool around the entirety of Scorpion, and then obviously cut that bit out, and then obviously went around that flame, that flame, that flame, that flame, that flame, that flame, that flame. That's why the outline is a little bit blurry because of the way I did it, in order to get rid of that background. And that took a long time because that's quite a lot of frames. Even cutting it down to every few frames, that is still quite a lot of frames to have to chop round. And I was quite lucky that he did that sort of front forward one. That very much sort of influenced the idea. Oh, I'll tell you what, that's an interesting point as well, maybe. You're desperately seeking interesting points, aren't you? Yeah, a little bit. This bit here, that's Bayonetta, but in Street Fighter, because it was a costume that I downloaded off of the workshop, I think. It's not important, but I thought to note. One of Malice Calibur's favourite games... Oh, why didn't you pause? One of Malice Calibur's favourite games, Shahaz's Rocket Knight. Shahaz's Rocket Knight. That's right, Shahaz's Rocket Knight. And another one that I imagine Malice might like. He likes Mega Man, but... that wasn't deliberate, but I think Rocket Knight was influenced directly from the fact that Malice likes Rocket Knight. Then we've got a little bit of one of my favourite games, which is Devil Kings, Samurai Heroes, one of the two, something along those lines. And then I think that was about to flash into, if it had gone far enough. Oh, I dropped it back too far. I got a feeling that was Castlevania at the end there, was it? definitely looked a little bit... Reese? I don't know. It certainly looks Castlevania-esque. The little creature there makes me think bat. But anyway, basically this little string, I strung together a load of footage and just drifted it across and timed it with the music, because the key point of timing in the music was... It was, do you know what? It was surprisingly difficult to get to this state, because obviously I wanted the idea being that they were really low on health, but if you left it too long, you died. If you hit the enemy too many times, it died. So it was actually, you'd be surprised, for such a simplistic idea of just grabbing a bit of footage of those two keeling over, it was surprisingly difficult to get that footage, because this was all me. That's why it's right at the beginning of the game, because I took this footage myself. But nonetheless, the key timing is in the original Monty Python intro, you get the foot come down, split. But obviously, because I had Scorpion rip my head off, I had my head come down. And I just liked the idea that, you know, they felt really responsible for that win when they absolutely weren't. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. There's something about it. It needs improving. I think it's because, partially at least, because that is thinner than that, which irritates me. I think it's because I was lazy again. That's so often the way. But I think what I did was I did that window, which kind of looks okay, a little bit dodgy there, and then I just stretched it for this one. If you were unaware, this is based on the win screen, the experience screen, and it's a good concept, just, I don't know, poorly executed. More so because of that line there, and the texturing just needs a bit of work, I think. And I don't know, maybe it might be the colours, maybe choosing yellow on the blue was a mistake. I don't know. Oh well. Too late to... Well, it's not too late. I could redo the intro, I suppose. Probably should make it shorter as well, because that's a long old intro for people to sit through. Quite a fun one. Again, this was sort of the evolution of Dragon's Half Hour, because it was like, okay, so Dragon's Half Hour was based on Hancock's Half Hour, a comedy thing, and then there was a point where my channel sort of died. There's been several points where my channel's died. In fact, you could argue the channel has never been truly living, but there was a point where it really fell off. And then I did this big return thing where I'd put in like gravestones and stuff, and it was a really quite nice little video package I put together. And then Phoenix from Final Fantasy Advent Children, I think it might have been. Not Advent Children, that's the film. The game Crisis Core, I think it was that Phoenix from that game, came rising up and brought everything back to life. But I decided at that point I was going to sort of get rid of the half-hour thing, because, as I say, as much as I quite liked the running gag that it was never half an hour, I wanted to be slightly freer and not have that restriction in the title. So I decided, okay, what do I fancy? And I decided I'll carry on with Great British traditional comedy, parodying, sort of ripping off, I suppose, arguably. And so I latched on to the idea of Monty Python's Flying Circus and decided I'd do J Dragon's Gaming Circus. And so I did, and I made a big intro out of it. And the unfortunate thing is, it's a bit sort of like, okay, here's a nice beginning bit, then a pleasant bit, and then another sort of, okay, this is getting a bit long, but it's all quite nice. It's just a bit too long. But it was all timed on that splat piece, and I had two concepts. I suppose the problem is I had two concepts that I squidged together, and therefore it extended it to sort of 2 rounds of the music, which meant I then had to have the slight filler of me flying over other games in order to get the timing of the music to then go splat. Because I think, again, did the beginning... Yeah, because the beginning you kind of need that ding, da-da-da-da-da. So it was all, you know, it all sort of extended a little bit too far because of the way I extended the music and stuff, which, I don't know, I need to get better methods so that it's not as long and overly time consuming, I fear. Much like this video. We'll definitely try and skip through some, because I must have covered most topics to do with my intros.